Tajikistan's parliament has adopted a draft amendment, its traditions and celebrations law. And this term is widely used by officials to describe Islamic clothing such as hijab.
In Tajikistan, a controversial law has sparked debate worldwide: the Hijab Ban. This law prohibits women from wearing traditional Islamic head coverings in public places. It has deeply divided opinions with Tajik society and beyond, raising questions about religious freedom, cultural identity, and government control. Supporters argue that the ban promotes secularism and women's rights, aiming to modernize the country. On the other hand, critics view it as an infringement on personal freedoms and an attack on religious expression. The hijab ban has not only affected Muslim women's daily lives, but also ignited international discussions on human rights and religious tolerance. As the debate intensifies, Tajikistan finds itself at the center of a global conversation about the balance between state regulation and individual rights, with profound implications for its future and the rights of its citizens. Tajikistan, a Central Asian nation, implemented a controversial law that bans women from wearing hijabs in public places. The law, introduced in 2017, mandates that traditional Islamic head coverings, including the hijab, are prohibited in government buildings, schools, and public spaces. This ban extends to workplaces and medical institutions, affecting daily life for many Tajik women who choose to wear the hijab as part of their religious observance. The ban has sparked varied responses within Tajik society. On one hand, there is support from segments of the population who view the ban as a step towards promoting secularism and gender equality. Supporters argue that by restricting religious symbols in public spaces, Tajikistan can modernize and reduce religious influence in state affairs. However, the ban has also faced significant opposition. Many Tajiks, especially those who adhere to conservative Islamic beliefs, see the law as an infringement on religious freedom and cultural identity. For them, wearing the hijab is a personal choice and a fundamental aspect of their faith. The ban has led to protests and debates across the country, highlighting deep divisions on issues of religion, state control, and individual rights. The Tajik government has defended the hijab ban on several grounds. Firstly, officials argue that the ban promotes secularism by maintaining a clear separation between religious practices and state institutions. They believe that by restricting religious symbols in public life, Tajikistan can safeguard its national identity and prevent the spread of extremist ideologies. Another justification provided by the government is related to women's rights. Officials argue that banning the hijab empowers women by freeing them from religious dress codes that they claim may be oppressive. They contend that Tajik women should have the freedom to participate fully in public life without religious attire influencing their opportunities and interactions. Internationally, the hijab ban in Tajikistan has drawn criticism from human rights organizations and religious freedom advocates. Critics argue that such bans violate fundamental rights to freedom of religion and expression. They view their prohibition as discriminatory, targeting a specific religious group and denying individuals the right to practice their faith openly. Furthermore, critics assert that the ban exacerbates cultural tensions and alienates religious minorities within Tajikistan. They argue that policies restricting religious attire can marginalize communities and deepen social divisions, rather than fostering unity and tolerance. Human rights organizations have raised concerns that the hijab ban sets a dangerous precedent for other countries grappling with issues of religious freedom. They warn that such measures could embolden governments to enact further restrictions on religious practices, potentially leading to increased discrimination and persecution of religious minorities. The ban on wearing hijabs in Tajikistan has deeply affected many women across the country, influencing their daily lives and personal freedoms. For Fatima, a university student in Dushanbe, the capital city, wearing the hijab was a way to express her religious identity and connect with her faith. However, since the ban's enforcement, Fatima faces a dilemma every day as she decides whether to comply with the law or risk potential consequences for wearing her hijab in public spaces. It's heartbreaking to feel like I have to choose between my faith and being a part of society, she says, reflecting the internal struggle many Tajik women now experience. In rural areas like the Pamir region, the hijab ban has caused even greater upheaval. Here, traditional Islamic practices are deeply rooted, and for women like Zara, a teacher in a remote village, wearing the hijab has always been a natural part of life. The ban makes me feel isolated and misunderstood, she explains. It's not just about clothing, it's about my identity and how I relate to my community. The hijab ban has had a significant impact on community dynamics and religious practices throughout Tajikistan. In neighborhoods where Islamic traditions are strong, tensions have risen as families navigate the implications of the new law. Mosque attendance has declined in some areas as women feel increasingly restricted in their ability to participate openly in religious activities. Moreover, the ban has strained relations between different segments of Tajik society. Conservative voices argue that the government's actions undermine religious freedoms and erode cultural traditions. Meanwhile, proponents of the ban contend that it promotes a more unified national identity and supports gender equality by removing perceived religious symbols from public life. Internationally, Tajikistan's hijab ban has sparked widespread concern and condemnation from human rights organizations and governments alike. Organizations such as Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have criticized the ban as discriminatory and a violation of fundamental human rights, including freedom of religion and expression. The United Nations has called on Tajikistan to reconsider the law, emphasizing the importance of respecting diversity and protecting individual rights. In diplomatic circles, the ban has complicated Tajikistan's relations with countries that prioritize religious freedoms in their foreign policies. Some nations have expressed concern that the ban sets a troubling precedent for other countries grappling with similar issues of religious identity and state control. Looking ahead, the future implications of Tajikistan's hijab ban remain uncertain. Domestically, there is ongoing debate over whether the law effectively promotes secularism or exacerbates social divisions. Some experts warn that continued enforcement of the ban could lead to increased tensions and challenges to social cohesion. Internationally, the outcome of Tajikistan's hijab ban could influence policies in other countries facing similar debates over religious freedoms and cultural identity. The global community continues to monitor developments in Tajikistan closely, with implications for human rights discourse and policies worldwide. In summary, Tajikistan's ban on wearing hijabs in public places has ignited significant controversy both from within the country and internationally. The law enacted to promote secularism and women's rights according to the government has elicited diverse reactions. Supporters argue it fosters a more unified national identity and gender equality by reducing religious influence in public spaces. Conversely, critics view it as a violation of religious freedom and a threat to cultural identity, particularly among conservative communities. The ban has profoundly impacted Tajik women, many of whom face difficult choices regarding their religious expression and societal participation. It has also stirred broader discussions on human rights and religious freedoms globally, with international organizations and governments expressing concerns about its implications.